Hello guys, today we're going to be doing another video on CYBERPUNK's new patch, which is patch 1.5. We are running a GTX 1060 with a Ryzen 3700X with 32 gigs of RAM running at 3200 MHz. Let's jump into the settings. I'm going to start it off with 1080p on the low preset. Here are the settings. I'm going to test low, medium, and high, 1080p and 900p, and then for the high preset, I will go ahead and test that FSR. I'll go through each setting just to see how it looks and what performance and what FPS you get. And then for the final bit of the video, I'll go through every single preset and I'll test the in-game benchmark and I'll put the results there at the end, so you guys can take a look there. But for now, 1080p low, we are getting around 50 FPS. It's not the best. 1060 is definitely a powerful card, even in 2022. Game it's a very big game, I guess. We are in the indoor scene that we always test. 1080p low. Frame rate has definitely dropped. We are definitely falling into the 40s now, which is not good. We're holding above. That's not a good name. Anyway, let's reset to another one. Our frame rate was at least above 50 for the most part, but we're getting close to the low 40s. Not good. Right, here we go. Medium settings. Radio's off. Okay. In medium settings, we've lost what? 9. It's 8 to 9 frames pretty much is what we lost. We're playing at 55 frames on low. We are frame rate's pretty much all over the place. We get 45 sometimes, and now we're dipping to the 30s, 39. It's the high 30s and low 40s, which is definitely surprising. We've lost a lot of FPS, but the visual quality looks very similar still. I can't really tell a difference between playing on low versus medium. Okay, we are inside now. For 1080p low, we definitely saw a big dip from actually driving around versus fighting. But so far, it doesn't look too different. Yeah, I mean, the frame rate seems to be very similar to what we had on the road, which is interesting. So I don't know what's causing the low frames on low, but here we go. 1080p high. Definitely seeing a visual improvement now. Game's looking much better. Frame rate. It doesn't seem to be as bumpy as a medium for whatever reason. Let's see, did we fall into the 20s? We're getting pretty close. 32. 34, okay. So we get a range of So we get a range of 34 to 32. Haven't seen it fall below 30 yet. So this is the console-like experience, I guess, where you just cap to 30 FPS at 1080p. Alright, we are inside 1080p high. We're getting 32 FPS outside, so let's see what we get inside. When there's fight going on, there's particles are flying everywhere, so let's see what we get. 31. It's a new low. Go to name. Okay, you just ruined it for me, dog. Okay, let's see. No, we didn't see an FPS dip from that nade. The aiming is very difficult when you're playing at 30 FPS with a mouse and keyboard, but we are still running at 1080p high, but I'm going to go ahead and turn on FSR. So let's go down. Gonna start it off with ultra quality just to see what kind of FPS we get. We did get 32 FPS on this preset normally, so let's see what FPS jump we get. This looks identical to what we had before, but we are sitting still. So I feel like once we start moving, we might see some weird looking textures. But we gained a 20 FPS boost. just sitting still. So let's drive up and see if we get any dips, if we see any weird textures or anything of that sort. Okay. Up close, the textures look identical to what we had at native, but in the distance, oh, it looks really blurry in the distance. You definitely tell. If you start paying attention to the objects in the distance, the buildings, they look very blurry. They look like Play-Doh, but up close, they look great. Okay, let's go ahead and turn on FSR to just quality. See if we see a further decrease. Okay. Again, the quality looks really good. This looks the same as ultra quality to me, but we got an even bigger FPS bump. We're pretty much on 60, which is great. Okay, hold on. Just panning the camera a little bit. There's a slight blur. It's nothing too major, but you can definitely tell. Just okay. We are playing at 50 FPS, so we're not quite holding 60 like we were before. But ooh, the game is looking it's looking too blurry at this point. Yeah, I don't know about this. This is just, I think it's better just to play the game at 1080p on low setting. FSR set to balance 1080p on the high preset. Oof. This is kind of looking rough now. This is looking really rough. So pretty much the objects in the background now, at the far distance, I can't tell what they are anymore. I can't tell what type of car they are, what... It just looks so bad for like whatever reason. It's just... Dying Light 2, using FSR on that game, it pretty much looks the same as native. It's crazy how crisp it looks in that game, even at 1080p. In this game, even at ultra quality, you can tell. You can tell that you're using FSR. It's just so blurry. And the frame rate, I mean, we're holding 60, but we've lost all the visual quality that we gained with high preset, so I don't think it's worth it. Okay, let's go ahead and drop it even lower to performance. Oof. Okay, 76 FPS just sitting here. So we gained, what, 9 FPS just sitting here. Okay. Let's wait for the average FPS to actually even out and balance out. Okay, here we go. Okay, this is just this is just getting so bad. The more we push it, the worse it gets. This honestly isn't as bad as this is very similar to FSR set to balanced. Oh, never mind. What it looks like is looks like there's noise around each object as well as the blur. That's what it looks like now. And the objects are flickering everywhere for me. I don't know, it's very distracting. Let's go ahead and test our final setting, which is ultra performance. This is gonna look so bad, but let's test that anyway. Oh my god. So pretty much in ultra performance mode, we're getting a lot of blurring even up close, up to the car. This looks like the game is running at 480p. That's what it looks like to me. It looks like it's running at 480p and it's trying to smooth itself out, so you just can't see the pixels. But it's doing a really bad job. I mean, it's not the game's fault, or it's not FSR's fault. We are running at 1080p. FSR works a lot better at higher resolutions, like 1440p or 4K. This is... Oh my... You can't even tell where you're going anymore. It's so... It looks like you took your glasses off and you just... can't see a thing. Wow, the distance looks a blurry mess. We are getting 90 FPS, but... You can't even see anymore, you can't play this. Even with, you just can't see. That's amazing. Okay, now we're running the game at 900p at the low preset. We're getting 70 FPS, so we gained around 60 FPS. Okay, that was a pretty big drop instantly, pretty much. 64 FPS is what it seems to be averaging out. Now we're dropping down to the high 50s. 64 FPS. Okay, that's like a 7 FPS gain from 1080p low in this area. Well, we seem to be holding a steady 60 for the most part. We do get some dips here and there, but we seem to be holding 60 FPS. Okay, now we're inside. Wow, 60 FPS, not bad. And the actual visual quality, like, playing at 900p, it's so close to 1080p that you can't even, I mean, you can tell a slight difference, but it's honestly very close to 1080p. That you're not losing much of the FPS in the game. But our FPS is still below 60, surprisingly. I thought it would surely hold 60 FPS at 900p, but it did not. The game itself feels great. I don't really... Oh, I'm dead. Yeah, I don't really feel the drops that I'm getting. It feels fine to me. But we are below 60. Seem to be getting 54 FPS. We are for sure dropping below the 50s. Yep, 49, 48. That's really bad pop in just then. I am seeing more blurriness just then. I don't know if I realized that on the low setting 900p, but I definitely see some blurriness in the distance. Especially on that building that we just drove by. The green looking building. That one definitely looked very blurry, and it popped in as well, which just made it even worse. Frame rate, we hold 50 for the most part, but we do get dips into the high 40s. Okay, inside definitely looks much better than the outdoors area. I don't see any blurriness inside, whereas I was seeing a bunch of blurriness outside. Okay, go ahead and shoot this guy. We're gonna be definitely falling into the 40s, that's for sure. Grenade. Yep, 48 FPS. Got a 5 FPS drop from that nade. For another raid. 47. I mean, it's not ideal, but the game feels fine. The aiming is slightly more difficult. This frame rate. 41 FPS. Wow. Get up close and shoot, it just feels even worse. Pay attention to that building again to see if there's any blurriness and pop in on the high settings. Alright, here it comes. Okay, I mean there's definitely some blur there, and it's not popping. It's the lighting catching up. That's what that is. It's the lighting. It doesn't render it in properly until you get a decent amount of distance to it. 41 FPS the whole time. Go ahead and do this last bit, and I'll jump into the in-game benchmarks, the one that was added with this new update. 39 FPS. There we go, falling into the 30s. 33. Yeah, indoors, the FPS seems to be a lot more jumpy sometimes than the driving. Driving, we held 41, I think, the whole time. Oh wow, that's great. I ran these benchmarks twice, but the results was really weird, especially for 1080p, 720p. 720p stuck at 47 FPS for each preset, for whatever reason. The GPU usage was at 99% the whole time. 900p was getting 60 FPS, while 720p was only getting 40 FPS for whatever reason, I don't know. So these numbers are, like, I wouldn't trust them, but I'm still gonna include them here anyway. This is what the game gave out, so I'll just put them in. That's the end of the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it and found it useful. If you did, give it a like and a subscription would be highly appreciated. See you next time.